I'm here with Bill Daley, who attended St. Ignatius, Loyola undergrad, John Marshall Law School, definitely a Chicagoan you should know. Bill, I had an opportunity to see and hear you speak at the City Club of Chicago, and at that time you outlined what seemed to me to be a 3-point plan to make the city even better than it is today. That's making the schools better, better public safety, and increasing the city population or bringing people back to the city. How do you think that will help us?
Well, first of all, if we can get our population back to 3 million from 2.7 over the next 10 years, that 300,000 people would equate to about $290 to $300 million to the bottom line revenue of the city a year. So that's a big impact. And along with the vitality of the city being strengthened, neighborhoods being strengthened with new people coming in or people who had left the city coming back, is enormously beneficial to the city. The other issues that I talked about in that speech, we have 3 basic major issues and lots within those groups. One is the safety of the city, crime. Second is the strength of the city, our long-term economic future. And the third is the affordability. Can people actually afford to live here anymore?
All the pundits say that we might be faced in an economic recession or an economic slowdown in the several years to come. How do you think your background in banking or your time working in Washington would be beneficial to the people of the city of Chicago if we do get into that type of economy?
My whole career has been in the private sector, except I was President Clinton's Secretary of Commerce at a time where we created 21 million jobs in the United States. And that was a great period at the end of the 90s for the U.S. And I was President Obama's Chief of Staff. So I get business because I've spent my career in it, but I've also been around government. And I understand that just because someone has a business background doesn't make them qualified to be a chief executive of a government. But I'm somewhat unique in that even though I've had the business experience, I've been around government and politics. So I get the difference between business and politics, but I also understand that you've got to get things done. Most of my career has been about trying to bring people together to solve problems and make compromise and move forward. That's the only real way you make progress in the private sector or in government. So I think I've got somewhat of a unique. I think also Mayor Emanuel, to be frank with you, Howard, did a good job of attracting companies and getting their profile around the country better for investment here. I think my background, both in business and in government, and a profile I have nationally and internationally, I think will help be a salesperson. As just at your business, a law firm, you have to be the salesman for the firm. The mayor of a global city has to be a salesperson for that firm, for that city. And I think I can do that quite well.
Your time in Washington, both with the Obama administration and the Clinton administration, do you think that would have any bearing or help for the people of the city of Chicago if you bringing like federal dollars back here for our infrastructure programs?
Well, obviously the primary people who have to make that case are the congressmen and the senators. We have a great delegation. I think this administration looks not too kindly on urban America. I've seen nothing yet of great creativity, except, to be very frank with you, in the tax bill, a tax cut bill that Trump passed, there was a provision for economic opportunity zones and economic opportunity funds to be created, which is a tremendous tax advantage for those who have major capital gains issues, to invest in a fund, and that fund invest in economic opportunity zones in many parts of the country, especially in Chicago, that are areas of the city that have longed for investment, and they have enormous problems. And I think I can use that relationship with the private sector to help them find creative ways government can work with those funds, to find places to invest throughout this city. Until the federal government begins to look at urban America and in a holistic way to help us solve our problems, and it has been a very long time since any administration has looked at urban America that way. And let's be honest, that's where most people live in America today, in urban or greater urban region. And so it's about time that we begin to focus on that from the national level. But I'll do my darndest to spend time in Washington, getting extra dollars for the city, but defending this city against programs that I think are bad for the city.
As a third-generation lawyer, I grew up going to my dad's law practice and spending a lot of time there. I feel, for me personally, like innately, I understand what the issues are and I understand how to get things done. And for the most part, when I'm at the courthouse, I feel like I can do it better than other lawyers because I got that background. Do you feel that you have a similar experience?
It's different, to be frank with you. My father was mayor in a very different time in our city's history, different political system in many ways. So I think I learned certain lessons from him and my brother. But again, as I said earlier, Howard, my background was always the private sector. I've never run for office. This is the first time. I'm not a career politician or a career bureaucrat. But I think because I've lived in the city my whole life, my kids are here, my grandkids are here, all my siblings, all my nephews and nieces, we have a certain knowledge about the city, as do many other families, and a love for the city that I think hopefully will give me some extra knowledge and certain sense about the needs of the city.
You definitely have a background for civic service and civic help, and it seems like through your career in the past, you have tested the waters on different positions that you could do to be a benefit to the people of the city of Chicago. How do you think now your quest for mayor or this run is the right choice for you at this time and the right choice for the people of the city?
Well, I've looked at really only once that I really looked seriously at running for another office, and that was briefly. I think at this stage of my life, I've been very fortunate. I've able to do this. I'm not doing this to get another job. I'm not doing it to run for another office. I'm at a stage in life where I want to do this for 2 terms in order to help the city address some of its major problems. Many of my competitors in this race, are running for multiple jobs at once. Or looking, maybe this is an opportunity to do something else at some point. That's not where I'm at. I'm at a different stage in life, and I'm pleased where I'm at, and I think I can add something to the quality of life over the next 4 years for the city of Chicago.
Your wife, by reputation, seems to be somebody who's very concerned about right-to-life issues and other charitable causes. How do you think she would also be a benefit or help to the people in the city?
Well, she has a real sense of social justice. It's not right to life, it's really right to die. And some of the end of life issues that she has been most involved with. Along with, she's a kidney donor, so she's been active in the transplant programs in the city. CTEC, one of the original founding non-doctors, non-medical people in it. So she has a great sense of people at stages of their life that need help, need support. That we've got to do that, and the government can't do that alone or shouldn't do it alone. It really comes from the community. So I think she will be quite a voice in those areas and a few others that she has great interest in. It's about the social fabric of our city. She volunteers out a furniture bank on the west side, and she sees lots of people that step forward to help others who are less fortunate than us. And that's really what Chicago is about.
How do you feel your candidacy arises above other good candidates that are in this race to be the best choice for the people?
Look, I think if one looks at my background, looks at the background of the other candidates, those who have been in politics for 20, 30 years, okay, what can they point to and really say has made a difference over the life? I've laid out programs on as fundamental as the structure of the city government, how we govern ourselves, all the way to how the school system from K through 14 ought to be handled. So I've been challenging things that need to be challenged. And we're almost a quarter way through the 21st century. Many of our institutions are still structured as they were at the first half of the 20th century. So I think I bring a unique perspective, not having been around this game here actively for my career. And I think that's a unique perspective that I have.
I thank you, and I thank your family and the generations before you that have helped people like my family.
So I appreciate the time, Howard, and the opportunity to talk to you.
I appreciate you too.
Good, Howard.
Thank
Have
you
a good
very
day.
much.
Thank
too.
you.